this video, I'd like to go over making Woodcraft's armor marker kit. There's a couple parts of the instructions. One I would change and one I'd make a little clearer. It makes it easier to put this kit together, but the kit turned out pretty good. But let's get started and make the kit. This takes at least a 7/8 inch square by 6 inch. I believe the one I have here is a 1 inch square by 8 inches. And it takes two different size tubes, so you have to drill two different size holes in it. The upper is a 15 millimeter drill bit, and the lower is a 14 millimeter drill bit. Not too far off, but pretty close to being the same. The top cap fits over the bottom tube. The bottom tube will hold the felt tip marker. So let's get them marked up, and I take it over to the table saw to cut it. I've got a 80 tooth, and it's a newer blade, but at 1 inch, it's just quicker and easier to cut. Makes a real clean cut. So take the excess off, and then we cut the bottom and the top. And we'll take those over and get them marked, ready to drill. And we'll take both the top there, get it marked, and then the bottom section, get it marked. And take a automatic punch and get the whole center part marked. Then we take it over to the drill press, brad bit drill, and as you can see, I go down and then bring it right back up and get it cleaned out. Don't heat the wood up, don't have any problems cracking the wood or the bottom. And then the top, exactly the same. Just keep it cleaned out so you don't, and no cracks on it. So take it over to the glue, and once again I use a scale, a gram scale, to measure out the glue in equal parts. I've always felt that if I did equal parts, I would have the most amount of success. I could probably get away with a little more hardener or a little less hardener. It might not make a difference on this, but I know if I do it exact, then I have the best chance of success. So here I goop on the epoxy pretty heavy. I want to make sure that if there's any indentations or places that need to get filled between the tube and the blank, that the epoxy fills it. So I goop it on pretty good, and I got to work kind of quick. This is 5-minute epoxy. It's 98 degrees out with 70% humidity, so it kind of sets up a lot faster than if it would have been in the 70s. But take some denatured alcohol, make sure that there's the end and nothing's inside the tube, and then let it sit up. You'll see the glue will turn to a darker yellow. The cup will get so hot that you can't touch it. I'll wait for it to cool down to where it's easy to touch, and then I'll wait a couple hours after that. Usually I'll wait the next day just to, again, give myself the best chance and make sure it sets up really, really well. So then take it over to the sander, and I sneak up on just about everything because it's easier to take off a little than it is to add a little, let alone add a lot. So just easy, and check it, easy. Make sure you turn it every time and get it to where the brass shows all the way around. That way you know it's square. and both of them are done. And so let's put it on the lathe. And I start out on the lathe with a 3/4 roughing gouge, and that's just to get this thing rounded up. The wood is really easy to work with. I'd like to use it again in a couple projects. One is a cigar tube, so I think I'll get a couple more of these and play around with it a little bit. But I get it rounded, and then I go to a carbide tip, a semi-radius carbide tip, to where the ends are just rounded slightly. Makes it easier so it doesn't catch as easy anyway. It'll still catch, but I just work it down. Shavings are coming off nice, and then just get it down to the bushings. Again, wood was very easy to work with and turned out very smooth. And so I started sanding. I think the first one was a 220 or 230. I have both, and just nice easy swirls to get it down. And I think I went to 400, and between make sure you go with the grain to get any kind of sanding marks off of it. And then I took some little denatured alcohol. It kind of sets up the grain a little bit and sets up the fibers, lets them stand up, and makes it a little easier to sand. So that was with 600, and again, a little denatured alcohol to make sure that all the grit is off of it. And then I used several coats of sanding sealer on it to get it ready for the polishing coats. And I started polishing them. I think I put 3 on. First coat, you can see it's starting to shine up, and the wood's really coming out nicely on it. And I think that was the second coat, and then the third one, you can see it's really starting to look pretty good. Then we take it over to the assembly, where some of the issues are. The top of it is the sleeve. This plastic goes inside and screws into this top. So once you get the top in, you need a Phillips head screwdriver to push it into the blank and then screw it into the top once that's together. The bottom is pretty cut and dried, except for this right here on both of them that I've done. It's really an overly tight fit. So what I did is took a little bit of sandpaper and just smoothed out the edge a little bit where it goes into the blank. And once it's set in and lined up, it just very easily presses right in. It's easy to square up because of the tight fit. The bottom, the spring goes in, and then what I did is I put the spring in the bottom cap and then pressed the bottom cap in after I adjusted it out a little bit. And it goes in square and very easy. So the bottom goes together, except need to sand that just a little bit. Now the marker drops right in. There's a spring on the bottom that helps keep pressure on it. There's 2 nibs for it. This one is for the fine tip, and that's the bottom right there. Really turned out pretty good. I like it. It's a little fatter and a little easier to work with. Now here's where one of the problems. It says take the sleeve and press it into the top blank. Then take the top and the clip and push it in to the sleeve. And you all know it's coming, don't you? So I'm lining it up, setting it up. Alright, and we put it onto the press. It's got a nice little indentation on that plastic that kind of holds these kind of things pretty good. And then you're supposed to press it in and get lined back up. And then this is what happened. This is what's happened to two of them. It pushes the sleeve in. So we've got to get it out. This press is really slick with that. Take a little rubber tube, put it on top of the blank, screw it down to hold it, and then take one of the punch rods and I put it in and I kind of get it up at a little bit of an angle. Make sure I've got it in right. Yep. And I put it at a little bit of an angle to where the edge is on the bushing, and then it's on the top of the press and it just pops right out. So what I've been doing with these now is once you get the press put back together, which is pretty easily, is take the sleeve and the bushing and the top and put them all together and then put it in the press. You can put it on the edge of the press so the clip just fits right over that end piston. Tighten it up a little bit there. Yeah, just to where that clip goes over that end piston, and then just push the bushing into the top cap. Goes right in. Then take the assembly and put it in to the top bushing as a whole. That way the sleeve can't get pushed out on you. And I think it just makes it an easier installation anyway. And then it just goes right in, just like the sleeve would by itself, and you have the top. Plastic drops right in. It's not real clear on the instructions, but push it right in, tighten it in, screw it in with the screwdriver, snug it in that it's there, and you have it. It pops right in. The plastic goes on the end of that brass, or pops on the end of that brass, makes it stay together, and I think it turned out really nice. I've done several of these. I've done some for some markers and some larger markers, but easy to change it. You got the two nibs, and again, it turned out really nice. But thanks for watching. I hope the tips help you in putting these together, and please subscribe. We'll have some more videos coming up pretty soon, and keep in touch.